All right. Hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Opsmic here. It's going to be your SITREP. And it is 11/6/2023. And we are coming to you live here from the Monkey Lounge here in the great state of Texas. As we get into the deets, we're going to talk about Wag the Dog. I'm going to show you some things that just, it's going to just make you, it's going to make you mad. Not going to lie. Because it's not great Wag the Dog technology, even though we know there's stuff out there that is really, really good. But it's why they're doing it and the fact that they are baiting that side, which is taking it lock, stock, and barrel. And, of course, who are they getting mad at? Yeah, us. Yeah, the infidel. That's right. So just pay close attention to it, and we're going to get through it. I'm going to show you some little history about some of that as well, because it's not the first time this stuff has been done. Only difference is the quality that is being done, all right? And if you pay close attention and you actually do your homework, you start to find out that their stuff is much like their living conditions in the dirt roads and mud huts that they live in, versus the high-tech end of the house like ours. And I'll show you. You're going to see the differences. But let's get into what's going on up in the sky right now. It's a little light. It's around 176. But keep in mind, I have stripped out a sea of trainers. It is a beautiful sunny day here in Texas and in Oklahoma. Very nice out and perfect conditions for flying. Also, they've got new money, right? Because November 1 kicked off the end of the fiscal year, and now they've got money to go fly. So I've taken out 111 Tex-2s and 53 T-38 lawn darts, okay? So that gives us what we have right now on the screen. I'm not going to go into the details of the air refuelers. It's really light today, maybe about 15. Most of them, you got East Coast, onesie twosies out here, nothing headed down to the southern border, which was kind of strange to me. But again, maybe it picks up during the day. But right now it's really light, kind of concerning. Also, if you go and look at, say, the intel, got one area of interest we need to look at. Everything else looks to be very light, which is a little bit of a concern given the fact that we should be on this heightened level of, gathering data and trying to figure out what's going on. All right, so let's do this. Let's jump over here to, first off, we'll do our watch list. Starting off in Europe, just notice this, you already got the traces coming in and out of Germany into the Middle East. All right, notice this one too, this Brio, right? That's going to be an intel bird. What are they looking at? Serbia, right? Bosnia. I think we've got maybe some tension going between the two that they're very concerned about. So we'll see what happens. But, and then, of course, just look at the sea of stuff that's around Israel as always. Iron, that's going to be the Israeli intel bird, okay? It's doing its gathering, which you would expect. My understanding is that they have surrounded Gaza at this point, and it's about to be on like Donkey Kong. So, all right, notice the C-17 in and out of Cairo. Yeah, that comes important here shortly. Then the little Glex, that's going to be a comms bird, which allows the troops on the ground in Iraq to basically have some encrypted conversations, so to speak, right? It's probably doing a lot more than just that, but that is kind of the brunt of it. It's a comms bird. And then, of course, we've got our drones over the Middle East. And then notice here the E3s. Maybe that's due to the sea of trainers that are currently up. That may be what this has to do with. And then that one's out over the East Coast. So it's just handling some of that congestion in the area. And then, of course, the C-17 streams. You can see those traces as well. And then we get down here. And then just notice the Texas stuff. But this one's the one that caught my attention. That's Phoenix Air Group. Okay, those are the guys that fly a lot of your agency boys. And it looks like it's coming from Mexico. So, or somewhere there. Based on the altitude, it's already pretty high up for being, just taken off out of Big. So I don't think it came from there. And then those are nuclear security, taken off, headed northwest. All right. Now over to the intel side of the house. To be expected, Israel. All right. Look at beating down a path. And that is, they're not going to get blindsided yet again. And then look at this, looking probably at Crimea. Russia has not let up at all. Okay, and then just notice the normal traces. This is where you expect to see them. Now, The one thing that catches my eye is here. We've been seeing some activity over this general region, and I want you to just, if you live in the Reno area, pay close attention, because we've been watching a lot of activity going on over your head there in Reno, and that's the intelligence community. So they got eyes on something up there. This is not the first time we've seen this, and it's been going on here for at least a couple weeks now, I think. Right, R135. This is really the only one, just to show you where it is looking. That's going to be the Brits, I believe. Nothing up into Europe. Very, very odd. Okay. And then one other little trace. You see it pop up here coming out of Okinawa, and then it just disappears, probably looking at not only China, but North Korea as well. So that's going to give you just the lowdown on the R135s. Now let's talk C-17s, and then we're going to get into the deets. West Coast, just kind of spread out a little bit, running in and out of Fort Sill. Now, I have, my understanding is, and this is from somebody that is in the know, the Fort Sill has been deployed. All right, that would explain the C-17 traffic. Look at this stuff coming to where the rails conclude on the eastern seaboard, right? Normally they would come in, they would get moved over to ships, but instead they're putting them on C-17s and they're flying them in. Germany, a little bit to the north, and then broken traces headed into what looks to be Turkey. Probably, if I had to guess, maybe Iraq, definitely Jordan, definitely moving stuff in and out. You're going to see one little tiny trace into what looks to be Tel Aviv area, which would be Ben Gurion. All right. But the rest of it kind of looks to be over in the Jordan side of the house. Yeah, we giving stuff to the folks over in Samaria? Maybe. And then the Middle East, and then stuff headed over into India and southern India, but that's not really going to be related to any of this. So let's get back to our other stuff, and let's get into what's going on out there. We're just going to start it out with Flashbang and his schedule. I guess you just keep selling the lie, and they really do need to just give this guy like a gallon of mint chocolate chip ice cream, put him on the beach somewhere, and just let him just babble away. If you wanted to be nice, give him a little teleprompter so he feels like he's doing something. But, look, this right here is what he's trying to do is he's trying to come into the old Reaganomics stuff, right? This has got to be the biggest dismal failure in our history. We are watching our economy start to collapse. We're watching us, start having wars and things just to try and take eyes off of this. I showed you in the last SITREP that they keep coming out and revising the numbers after people have forgotten about them in terms of the employment, and they're always down. It's never up. They're not revising going, oh, it was stronger than we thought. No. They're pumping out a fake number, and then they're coming back about a month or two later, and they're going, we're going to correct that by 39,000 and drop that number down, which tells you month over month over month over month. 8 out of the last 9 months have been revised down, and significantly down. All right. Well, it looks like he is going to be headed out of Newcastle, headed back to the Senior Living Center this evening. We get over here to the map. You can see this is your TFRs, the only really ones that are significant. And this is the Senior Living Center. It's a permanent TFR. And then this is his 2 locations. So, all right, I'm going to back that away. And let's move on. So check this out. All right, this is going to be our Idiots Abroad segment. Blinken tells a boss, which is, by the way, the old leader that nobody likes, running everything in ancient Samaria, basically telling him Israel needs to use smaller bombs on Gaza. So this is the why we are a laughing stock. Okay, so look, either you use a 2,000 pounder or you use 2 1,000-pound bombs. Okay, it's still the same end result. It doesn't matter. It's just stupid. Okay, but nonetheless, the one thing that he failed to do and has yet to say anything about was here. He's still not publicly condemning the attack from Hamas on October 7th. largely out of fear of inflaming sentiment among the Palestinians, with whom he is deeply unpopular, right? So this is not talking about Blinken. This is actually talking about Abbas, right? So really strange that he is taking that stance and approach. Believe me, if Blinken is showing up, there's money coming across the table here shortly. And we have seen the C-17s landing in Jordan. Sure, there's probably troops related to that. But I would guess, if I had to guess, that we are sending aid packages to the Palestinians to just kind of pacify them while all of this goes on, okay? Now, I mentioned Fort Sill. More than likely, if you're not familiar with who comes out of Fort Sill, because that is important, missile defense, all right? So things like THAAD, Patriot missile system, MEADS, et cetera, right? Those are the guys that are probably being deployed. Then the other side of that would be ARTIs, okay, your artillery guys. And they could be engaged in those as well, at least from a, if this thing goes hot perspective. But I think in the immediate side of the house, we're putting missile defense in there because we got to protect our fleet and everything else that's in the region, okay? All right, moving on. Here we go. U.S. rolls out the 50th weapons package for Ukraine. There's your Bohica moment. And check this out. The Pentagon will purchase $300 million in arms on behalf of Kiev, depleting all the funds for Ukrainian Security Assistance Initiative. All right, so now they're out of money. But remember, it is a new year, right? We just started November 1. So on Friday, the Department of Defense announced a new $425 million military aid package for Ukraine. $125 million in weapons will be sent directly from American stockpiles through the Presidential Drawdown Authority, right? Just like our Strategic Petroleum Reserve, we are basically emptying our pockets, and we're going to get smacked because we have basically just taken away our ability to fight. This right here is treasonous. It really is. You don't do that. When you start taking away American stockpiles, you are taking away our troops' ability to fight a war and defend ourselves. And if we have to go hot, we're just going to be defenseless, okay? Other than us, right? Who we are, by the way, the largest army in the world, just if you haven't figured that one out yet. So anyway, the funds, and when I say largest army in the world, I'm not talking about military. I'm talking about we the people. We are the largest armed, you can call us militia, you can call us whatever you want to call us, but we got more weapons, and we are bigger and larger than any army in the world. Remember that as we get, plucked into the boiling water like a frog. And anyway. All right, the funds used to transfer the arms came from the Pentagon. Accounting error. This, once again, as the White House gave an additional $6 billion in PDA funds. That was is just, this right here is a joke, and we were being bamboozled. So check this out. This is what we're sending over there. So we got NASAMS, which are National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile System. I'm not really super familiar with that system. It doesn't look like, maybe that is a Lockheed thing, but I don't think it is. All right, additional ammo for the HIMARS, 155 millimeter and 105 millimeter rounds, tube-launched wire-guided tow missiles, javelins, and AT-4 anti-armor systems, more than 3 million rounds of small arms, ammunition, and grenades. Now, you want to know why all of a sudden our bullet manufacturers, our ammunition manufacturers, that's the word I'm looking for. I just drew a blank. I had a Biden moment. I do apologize for that. It happens from time to time. You just lock up. Actually, that was probably more like a Mitch McConnell moment where you freeze, right? But nonetheless, this is why all of a sudden they go, hey, wait a minute, hold on, pump the brakes. We can't sell anything to the civilian side of the house because we just got depleted everything we had, and now we got to go make more. And that's probably why. 3 million rounds headed over there, along with grenades. All right, demolitions, munitions for obstacle clearing. And then we got claymores that we're putting in. and 12 trucks to transport the heavy equipment, cold weather gear, spare parts, maintenance, and other field equipment. So, anyway. Yeah, what'll end up happening is our troops will be like, I don't have any cold weather gear. Yeah, that's on back order. We'll have to, it'll show up. I will tell you, when I was in the Air Force, my wet weather gear actually arrived about 3 weeks before I exited the Air Force. So it was on back order my entire time. Never had it, and I was wet most of the time. So this will be exactly what happens to our troops. They will go without so that we can basically fund a proxy war against Russia. So, and basically launder money. All right. So check this out. If you didn't see this over the weekend, anti-Israel protesters tried to storm the White House and demand the destruction of Israel. It wasn't as big as they said, but just notice they're here, like I mentioned before. And they're, you know, this is all about how you get the photo. All right. And that's the key here. You know, the key was behind the White House, the White House behind them, and then these guys in the foreground. But, and of course, they were yelling, Aloha snack bar. Yeah. Nonetheless, though, here's the problem. They will just keep amassing in greater numbers. And then as soon as they try to go over the fence, that's when it'll get real, because they will definitely get lit up. All right. Like a Christmas tree. Okay. Let's talk Wag the Dog for a minute. This, if you haven't seen it, now this is over on Instagram. This is a guy named Johnny G Texas Official. I don't know who he is, but he did have the video posted, and I just want to give a little shout out to him for doing this. I could have just done a screen grab, and I decided just to, you know, promote the guy's channel. So nonetheless, this guy right here on top is what they would call a slingshot sniper. All right. Now, he jumps up here. Notice the barrier that's in front of him. I think this looks to be a fiberglass porta potty side thing. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, but it's not. I don't think that's aluminum. I don't think it's anything steel. It's basically, remember, there is a difference between concealment and cover, okay? Cover will stop some bullets. Concealment, you just hiding behind it, and you can get shot behind it, and that's how this happens. Now, the sniper that took the shot, let's just watch the video. Notice you got this guy over here. This is a cameraman, okay? And he's basically getting this shot from down low at the guys in Gaza taking, you know, throwing rocks, the sling, like David's sling, right? All right, and here we go. We're going to just play it out. I turned the sound off because I'm just going to talk to it. Now, he's up there. He's obviously getting somebody's attention. You stand up on top of something, start slinging something, bang, right? All of a sudden, oh, his concealment thing just got him. Now, look at the guys that come rushing in and how quickly they jump in. These are orange vests, paramedics, kind of like the white helmets that you see in Syria. Cameramen are all getting the shot, right? Because this is how they are. Look, they were expecting him to get shot, right? They had all the stuff out, ready to go, and opened up. Now they're gonna pull him off. You know, mind you, he just got shot in the leg, supposedly, or allegedly. All right, I see a little bit of blood coming out of his leg, so maybe that was a real. He got shot in the thigh, and then of course they're gonna pull him down. They're gonna throw him on a stretcher. Ambulance is on standby. All right, but they got the shot. Notice what you see down here are the cameramen getting the shot, right? Got little vests on. This guy's wearing a helmet. This guy's just wearing a cap, I think. It says press on there, but they got the shot, all right? Now, let me just show you some of the other folks that got the shot. And I'm going to show you where it gets really interesting, because this is one of many. You can see here, they're starting to fact check. This is Reuters basically coming out saying the video of covered bodies is from Egypt 2013, not the war in 2023. And I'm not going to go into the picture and everything else because it'll get me, you know, demonetized probably. So, but this just goes to show you there's a lot of bad data that's being pumped out, taking old pictures, trying to say it's one thing when it's not. And so at least my team has been really trying to go through and fact check the videos before I even start to show them, so that we're not feeding you, you know, part of the garbage that they're pumping out. Okay. Now, this is another one. If you happen to see this, I showed it in my Monkey Minute over on Patreon yesterday, but you see this little kid here. It says, raise your hand if you stand with Palestine. And it shows this kid in the rubble and the dead mom on the ground, all bloodied up, right? And this kid just looks disheveled. Now, the thing I want to point out is if you look up here, count the fingers on this kid, right? How many fingers does this kid have? 6. All right. 6-fingered kid. So just to let you know, what this is this is AI generating an image. And it has messed up the image. They didn't catch it. They pumped it out there. But we caught it. And I actually give a credit to Jack Hibbs, actually, is the one that pointed this out. And he got it from somebody else. But nonetheless, this is basically a cheap AI software. You know, they're basically using an app to generate an image. They tell it what to do, pumps it out, 6 fingers. Tells you all you need to know, but the signs are there. If you look for them, you'll catch it, and you'll notice that this is indeed more fake stuff. But what happens, right? People see this on their side, and they go, oh my God, they're killing women and children, and this is it. Not to say that's not happening, but this is fake propaganda, okay? And but the other side takes the bait, and then they come after us, the infidel, okay? So, all right. Now, it didn't just start there. I want to show you something that was pulled allegedly off of John McCain's laptop. Now, the video was somebody put in this stuff that says what each one of these guys are that is kind of tied to. But let me say this. The real video is out there, and I want to say it was off of, I can't remember. You can actually go find it on YouTube. It's still out there. The actual video that was pulled from his McCain's laptop when he was in, I think he was over in the middle. It may have been Ukraine. They hacked his laptop. They pulled a bunch of images down. But this was back when ISIS was doing all of their stuff, okay? And if you ever saw the orange jumpsuits, right, that was your indicator that this is all propaganda, fake propaganda. It was basically CGI being generated. And so this is one of the sets where the CGI was being pulled together. It's got the green screen behind them. But yeah, you got the lighting grip. You got directors, assistant directors, first camera operator. You got everybody there on the set as they pump out these fake things. Now, you can't see the guy's head because he's got a green thing over it. And they come back and superimpose that and then, you know, do the whole thing that they do. But we were pumped a steady diet of this stuff. It was pumped out by the mainstream media, et cetera. Nobody ever came back and said, oh, by the way, we figured out it was fake, because they don't want you to know that. It is Wag the Dog. What happened in that situation was we basically unchecked all kinds of funding. We had mass immigrant push where these people went all over Europe, and now you spread them out, and that's the problem we have today, okay? And but that was the goal, right? You get funding unchecked, blank checkbooks, and then you basically have a forced migration issue, all right? So just remember, when you see it, it doesn't necessarily mean it is real, all right? All right, back over to the mini. Let's move on from that. Let's get over to this side of it. And this is, again, you know, idiots abroad. France to give armored vehicles to the Lebanese army. That's coming from their defense minister. You know, here's the thing. We already know that that Hezbollah is in Lebanon. So where do you think this equipment's going to go when they show up? Because they are truly, like the Lebanese are broke, right? That whole country is, they're skint. They don't have 2 nickels to rub together. And so who's running that country? Hezbollah, all right? And so when this stuff shows up, guess where it's going? To the terrorists. So they probably already know that, but it's just stupidity, right? And we seem to be just surrounded by stupidity these days. Global leaders all around the world, that is their goal. This is all about war. This is basically, you got to give these guys enough stuff to fight so that when the U.S. comes in, it's justified, right? So, all righty. Here we go. Hezbollah. Chief tells the U.S. we are ready to face your fleet. Well, hey, I'm just going to wish you good luck because you're going to need it. Let me tell you, mess around and find out. If you poke these guys on any level, and that's even to the Iran level, you're going to find out that our Navy will definitely send you packing, okay? And it'll be, yeah, you and your virgins, you guys will be all up there together, well, down there together, because you ain't going up. I just want to tell you that right now. So they're not the ones watching this. So anyway, look, it's just going to be, yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. Let's move on because that's a laughable headline. All right, just to give you a general idea, this is going to be your NOTAM, give you a little mix up of the weather. Just notice there's a lot of stuff happening out here in Russia, which is, we haven't seen that in a while in terms of, you know, all over the place. Look at Europe. It is just one giant advisory board, okay? And then the other one too, just notice this one down in this general area. Notice how this circle now goes over most of Jordan. That's probably because you got a lot of U.S. guys in here. If I had to guess too, you've got them down. Oh, wait a second here. Well, that's Israel. What is that box? Missile or gun rocket firing and temporary RA. Interesting. Okay. Look at that, completely over the strip. And then you get down, and I want to say our base operations guys were, they're somewhere in here. Okay. The one that we looked at the other day where I said Camp Liberty and it was Camp Library, but you know, it's one of the same because the Middle Easterners, they're not going to have this library out there at a base. Okay. That's going to be U.S. So, because, you know, that's what we do. And it looks like even though there was some pretty large plant life on that runway, I would venture to guess that that's not there now. Okay. All right. Let's go over here and take a look at what's going on at Biggs Army Airfield. Notice the planes that are coming in, one from Houston, one from Perot Field. The Omni heads out to Shannon, Ireland. That's probably troops. And this one is also probably troops headed to Houston, even though it's a smaller aircraft. But here's why I say that. That will probably go from here to Houston to Guantanamo Bay because we're about that time for having the rotation. Okay, it's every 3 months. All right, now this one, notice this is coming in from Valdosta, Georgia. That is going to be IAERO. That is going to be migrants, okay? So that tells you some of that C-17 stuff that we see going into Georgia. All right, bringing them in, putting them on this, flying them to that location. And then it looks like they're rehoming some folks that's going to be headed into Charlotte from there. And it looks like even though you would think they would just shorten it, send them direct, they don't. What they do is they bring them in, they process them. You got to give them their money, and you got to make sure that they get the right amount of money, the jobs, the training, the education, all of that stuff, right? And their work assignment, you know, if they're single-age male, you know, hey, listen, here's a hot, you know, a burner phone. We're going to be calling you on this to activate you and get you set up to where you need to go. All right, let's move on over to Dover. And you're just going to see not too much, but the reaches are in there. I did notice that. I don't know what that is right there. I think that's actually going to be an H-60 helicopter based on the number, all right, the identifier. A couple more Reach C-17s. That one's headed down to Savannah, Georgia. Go figure. And then, of course, we've got... let's see. Actually, no big birds. All right, let's just move on. I don't know what I was looking at. Looking at a bunch of Cessnas is what I was looking at. Okay, and then we get over here to, this is Ramstein. And just notice you got one camber flight coming in. That's a smaller camber coming in from Baltimore, Washington. That's probably troops. All right, C-130. We get over to this side. That's going destination unknown. We'll see if we can find that. C-17 and C-130. That's Stuttgart. Again, kind of quiet. It's a Monday, but definitely got some things going on. And then this is RZE Poland. That's going to be your forward operating base. Looking for big birds. Don't see them anywhere on the board. So, not seeing anything. German Air Force looks to be headed to Berlin from there. And I see a Brit headed outbound, and that could be anything, transport or something. Everybody's moving assets around right now. So, all right. And then this is your Canberra flight. So that's going out of Ramstein, again, destination unknown. That one's headed, one coming out of Shannon, Ireland, 777. We'll back up and see if we can see. All right. So the one out of Ramstein looks to be headed back to the U.S., maybe. It's at 36,000 feet, a little low altitude, kind of in that commercial swim lane, so to speak, in terms of altitude-wise. And then this one, there is one, well, you know what? That could actually be, no, that's Shannon. So the Shannon, Ireland one, so this is Ramstein, headed back, looks to the U.S. maybe. And this one coming out of Shannon looks to be headed down. It's at 35,000 at cruise speed, 587 miles an hour, headed south, probably into this general region. Right, into the Middle East. All right, Reach. Just take a look at what we've got here. 2 Reach flights. This one coming out of Biloxi looks to be headed down to the Florida Keys, maybe, or this one's coming out of the Keys. Let me see if I've got any indication. Yeah, I don't. I got one Keesler. That's Biloxi. One out of Dover and one out of the Keys. So that one we see down here is actually taken off out of the Keys. The other Dover looks to be headed across the drink. Just on climb out right now. And then we look at the Brits, not really super active. We do have that one we just looked at coming out of RZE Poland. This one coming out of Hanover. And Saul, I don't know, that's down here, I think. Yeah. So let's just look at them on the map and see what we got. So it looks to be rolling out of Ford Operating Base. This one looks to be coming out of Germany. And then this one looks to be... well, actually, I say Saul. That's probably down here, SID. Yeah, so that is south. I mean, that's down into Africa, which is, by the way, you get across this belt right here. That's where all the coups have been happening, all right? And then this one, remember we had intel balloons over here. Now all of a sudden you start to see some activity going on here. Got to make you wonder, doesn't it? Probably looking at the Ruskies if I had to guess. Okay, National Cargo is very active and busy. This one coming out of South America. Notice the ones going in and out of Asia. All right, very active and busy. All 747s. Now, more than likely, these that are picking up, they may be picking up some stuff, but they are not flying over China with it. I can bet you on that one. So whatever they are flying, it won't be troops and it won't be artillery. Or rounds of artillery, because China will not let them fly over their area. And look at that flight level, 40,000 feet, 400 miles an hour. And interesting. That one looks to be coming out of, well, let's see, where is CTS? I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but that's where it looks to be coming out of and to, should I say. All right. Well, anyway, nonetheless, let's move on. And nothing on the board for Omni. They were on there just a little while ago. The interesting thing was they were down into Mexico, and I just lost that flight. I knew I should have clicked on it. It was a very odd and strange flight. I'll say that because, in fact, it was coming out of Cabawaba, I believe. I think that's right. Anyway, down here. Yeah, it was in Baja. So... which I thought was interesting. Why down here? All right, moving on to the Immigrant Machine, and that looks to be, everything's heading south of the border this morning, all right? Give it a couple hours and it'll all be up here, all right? Well, listen, that's going to do it for our SITREP today. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. We will see you on Wednesday with our next look at what's going on. But stay frosty. Keep that powder dry. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. MonkeyWorksUS.com.